ABC4 News at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon and welcome to ABC4 News at 4 o'clock. I'm Courtney Johns. People across the state are mourning the death of a Santaquin police sergeant who was hit and killed by a semi-truck over the weekend. It started when authorities got a call about someone standing on the back of a semi-trailer yesterday on I-15. A Santaquin police sergeant, Billy Dean Hooser, along with a state trooper, found that truck and tried pulling it over, but the driver, 41-year-old Michael Jane, would not stop. Authorities say he then turned around and started driving the wrong way and hit Hooser, killing him on the scene.
Our entire department is hurt. And the family of the officer is hurt. Because of a senseless act by one individual.
Police found Jane near Vernal. After an hours-long search, he crashed into a stolen pickup truck and was taken into custody. And we are bringing you team coverage across Utah and Salt Lake County with the very latest on this sergeant. We have ABC4's Annika Johns in Santaquin talking to people who live in that sergeant's neighborhood. We have Kate Garner tracking what we now know about the suspect who is accused of hitting that sergeant. But first, we are going to ABC4's Sarah Murphy, who is live in Santaquin City Hall after police held a press conference. We just heard from them this afternoon. Sarah, what has it been like being there today?
Hey, Courtney. Well, yeah, again, we're at City Hall, as you can imagine, not just here, but across Santaquin. A bit of a heavy day as we're learning more information on what happened yesterday with Sergeant Hooser. We've heard from police, we've heard from family members, and lots of emotions as things are continuing to develop, especially law enforcement. They've been busy from Salt Lake County here to Utah County as they've been working to bring Sergeant Hooser's body back home to Santaquin. I want to give you a look at some of that procession. The procession started in Taylorsville from the medical examiner's office there this morning. Hundreds of officers with agencies across the state, they filed along to honor Sergeant Hooser. They made their way along I-15 through Salt Lake and Utah counties. They brought his body and casket to Brown Mortuary here in Santaquin. Emotions, as you can imagine, they ran high as family and loved ones followed. Now, that somberness continued when we heard from Sergeant Hooser's younger brother this afternoon.
Although nothing could never make up for the loss we feel, we take solace knowing that Bill died a hero. Doing a job that he loved.
Again, some intense emotion. That was from Sergeant Hooser's younger brother. He's just one of a handful of people we spoke with. We learned more information on what happened. We've heard from other family members and former colleagues about how they say this is a situation that just hits close to home, especially here in Santaquin, a small farming community. They describe it. They say their heart goes out to the officer's family, to Santaquin police, and really they're all just working to come together at this time. For now, live in Santaquin, Sarah Murphy, ABC4 News. Courtney, I'll send it back to you.
Of course, our heart goes out to that community as well. Thank you, Sarah. And in continuing our team coverage, we are now heading to the Santaquin community who is honoring and remembering Sergeant Hooser. Annika, what are you hearing about how people are remembering Sergeant Hooser?
Well, as you can see behind me, it's just one of the many examples people are using their community to remember this amazing officer. With flags and ribbons blowing in the air, it stands as a visual reminder of not only for the community, but for the family that they have those around them supporting them, and they're here for them in this incredibly hard time. Now, as we've said before, it's been a very painful day for the state of Utah, but also for the community of Santaquin. Like Sarah mentioned, it's a pretty small town and tight-knit community here. Now, fellow officers, community members, and Utah leaders have spent the past 24 hours or so expressing their support for the fallen officer and his family, with memorials of flags, flowers, and ribbons spread far and wide here in Santaquin. Emotions are running high, and today, when Officer Hooser returned home, many in the community found themselves with tears streaming down their faces. And while the weather today, many say, stood as a grim reminder of how everyone feels, they wouldn't let a little rain or cold get in the way way of coming out and supporting Sergeant Hooser and his family. Many of them spent today reminiscing on the man they knew and the empty spot he has left behind. One of those individuals, Steve Olson, the assistant fire chief for Murray City, says he grew up in Santaquin and says today is all about the family and showing them their support they so desperately need.
It's really about just showing respect for this moment for them, something that's going to be ingrained in their minds and hearts with that loss that can't be given back no matter what. But his memory and that service and his contributions to law enforcement and to this community has just built so many other people. You'll see people that were affected by him and his work and his actions, everything from the elementary school kids, church groups, talking to neighbors in the street, things like that. Just a lot of positive things. Just remember, one of the best police officers that I've ever known.
Now, earlier today, I spoke to a few of Sergeant Hooser's neighbors who asked to remain off camera, but told me that he was an individual that loved his community, loved his family, and loved his job as a law enforcement officer. When I spoke to them, the emotions, again, like I said, were pretty high, with tears welling up in their eyes, including with some children I spoke to. And one little girl told me that she wore her blue and white dress today in honor of Sergeant Hooser and all that he's done. Reporting live from Santaquin, Annika Johns, ABC 4 News.
Thank you, Annika. We're also learning more about that suspect, 41-year-old Michael Jane, this afternoon. Our Cade Garner is looking into his criminal past. And Cade, we want to know more on what exactly you have found.
Yeah, Courtney, an extensive criminal record spanning more than a decade and a case out of Oregon that is eerily similar to what happened here.
Made a U-turn abruptly, deliberately targeting the officers and intentionally hitting both vehicles.
The police believed the hit and run was anything but an accident.
He also struck the Santaquin officer, causing fatal injuries.
Court records show Michael Jane's lengthy criminal record. He's had run-ins with police in nearly half a dozen states, the most serious happening in Oregon in 2009. Jane faced 2 counts of attempted aggravated murder, 2 counts of first-degree assault, and 1 count of being a felon in possession of body armor. These charges after attempting to run over an Oregon State Police trooper with a vehicle. Ultimately, Jane was convicted of assault and felony possession of body armor. Just 3 years later, he was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for felony possession of firearms. He was released in 2021. So, what does this hit and run mean for Jane?
If it's a plan and you assault someone with a dangerous weapon, which is a vehicle, and you kill them with that, you can be charged with murder.
Utah criminal defense attorney Clayton Sims says a murder charge will be difficult to prove, but says he can't see a scenario where Jane faces less than 30 years for his acts.
Nothing can bring someone back to life, and the tragedy is there, and it's going to remain there whether he goes to prison or not. But 30 years is a tremendous amount of time.
Now, Sims says that Jane's past could possibly be used to help prove that he targeted the officers in a criminal case against him. In studio, Cade Garner. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, thank you, Cade. Now, Sergeant Corey Ride was another law enforcement officer who was killed in the line of duty in Utah, back in Utah County, back in 2014. He was shot and killed on the side of the road in Eagle Mountain while helping another driver who had pulled over. His widow, Nanette Ride Zeman, joined us live on ABC 4 News at noon to talk about her journey of healing.
For me, it's been 10 years, so there's been a lot of healing and a lot of, distance put with that, but it's a Band-Aid ripoff, very emotional, a lot of things bubbling up, a lot of memories for me. I love that there's so much support for this family and that so many officers are showing up for this procession and supporting.
She continued to say that when all the pomp and circumstance is over and people return to their normal lives, it's important to still remember his wife and his family and to offer that support. Make sure you stick with us. We are going to continue our team coverage on Santaquin Sergeant Billy Dean Hooser and the very latest on honoring his life and legacy.